In the heart of a nation, innovation meets secrecy, where there exists an entity whose operations are cloaked in shadows, and whose advancements tread the line between genius and an ethical abyss. Enter the shadowy world of DARPA, a place where the future is not only imagined, but engineered. Here, every breakthrough whispers of potential, but also a cause for alarm. Where each project is a step towards a world where tomorrow's headlines are today's classified secrets. These projects have reshaped humanity for better or worse. From the depths of the ocean to the far reaches of space, DARPA's reach is extensive, its intentions often inscrutable. Let's take a look of what's known about the secretive world of DARPA, where every discovery could be the dawn of a new era, or the prelude to destruction and tyranny. DARPA. It stands for the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency. It's the research and development arm of the United States Department of Defense, and it's responsible for the development of emerging technologies for use by the military. Originally known as the Advanced Research Projects Agency, or ARPA, the agency was created on February 7, 1958 by then-President Dwight D. Eisenhower in response to the Soviet Union's secret space program and the surprise launch of Sputnik 1 satellite in 1957. In the 1950s, the United States was in the midst of a Cold War with the Soviet Union. This period was marked by intense competition in technology, particularly in space and missile technologies. The surprise launch of Sputnik 1 by the Soviet Union on October 4, 1957, was a significant shock to the USA. It demonstrated that the Soviets had not only the technology to put an object into orbit, but also the capability to potentially launch intercontinental ballistic missiles, or ICBMs, at the United States. Alarmed by Sputnik and Russia dominating the space race, President Dwight D. Eisenhower and his advisors recognized the need for a new entity within the Department of Defense that could prevent such technological surprises in the future. On February 7, 1958, President Eisenhower approved the creation of the Advanced Research Projects Agency through a directive from the Department of Defense. ARPA's initial aim was to develop new technologies for use by the military. It was intended to be an agency that could rapidly respond to technological challenges and opportunities, fostering the development of new systems and techniques that would ensure U.S. military superiority. Roy W. Johnson, a former president of the General Electric Company, was appointed as ARPA's first director. His mandate was to bring innovation to defense technologies, particularly focusing on space and the military. Before NASA's formation, ARPA was heavily involved in space technology, leading efforts to launch the first U.S. satellite, Explorer 1, on January 31, 1958, just a few months after its formation. This helped restore some national pride, but also set a precedent for ARPA's role in technological development. ARPA was given the mandate for space exploration under Project Orbiter. However, after the launch of Sputnik 1 by the Soviet Union, the Eisenhower administration decided to establish a new agency, NASA, using ARPA's technology as a foundation. In the 1960s, DARPA, still known as ARPA, was at the forefront of technological innovation. ARPA's most famous initiatives began in the late 1960s. The concept of ARPANET was proposed by J.C.R. Licklider in his white paper, drafted in 1962, describing an intergalactic computer network. The first successful transmission over ARPANET occurred on October 29, 1969, between the University of California in Los Angeles and Stanford Research Institute. This would lay the groundwork for what would later become the Internet. But DARPA wasn't just creating computer networks in the 1960s. They were also using Southeast Asia as their testbed for electronic surveillance, herbicidal biowarfare, sociological and psychological research. Project Agile was an initiative created in the late 1960s, aimed at developing and testing military technology for use in counterinsurgency and remote warfare, particularly Southeast Asia during the Vietnam War. Parts of the project focused on electronic means of detecting and tracking enemy movements, which included innovations in sensors to monitor the dense jungles of Vietnam. Another significant aspect was the development and use of defoliants, such as Agent Orange, used to clear jungle vegetation, thereby exposing enemy hideouts and supply routes. As a side note, Agent Orange was initially tested in Thailand. The use of herbicides, particularly Agent Orange, has been highly controversial due to its long-term environmental damage and the health issues faced by both local populations and American veterans exposed to these chemicals. In essence, DARPA used innocent people and military personnel as test subjects for their research. DARPA, through Project Agile, also explored sociological methods to understand and counteract the Viet Cong influence, including troop morale and potential subversion through propaganda. Initiated in the late 1970s and continuing into the 80s, the VLSI project, or Very Large Scale Integration, aimed to advance semiconductor technologies, which had significant implications for both computing power and miniaturization, paving the way for what would become personal computing. By the 1980s, ARPANET, if you remember, the precursor to the Internet, had transitioned into a broader network known as the Internet. DARPA's work in this era included fostering the development of TCP/IP protocols, which became the standard for Internet communications. The agency's role in expanding the use of the Internet for academic and military use to broader civilian applications is substantial. Some say that the Internet was always intended as a tool for mass surveillance and control by military entities, suggesting that the military, through DARPA, has secret backdoor access to every aspect of Internet functionality, allowing for government agencies to monitor any individual's Internet activities. Some even believe that DARPA can shut down the Internet and manipulate data across the globe at will. Here's a short list of programs developed by DARPA aimed at Internet surveillance. Projects like MEMEX, which aim to develop search capabilities for the dark web. Plan X was aimed at developing cyber warfare tools which inherently involved understanding and potentially monitoring network traffic, which includes Internet usage. SOSO, or Social Media and Strategic Communication. This program researches how social media platforms are used for strategic communication, which analyzes how information is spread online. These programs reflect a broader spectrum of development of surveillance capabilities, ranging from metadata collection to content interception, from the direct partnerships with technology companies to sophisticated hacking operations. While much of this information comes from leaks and public domain sources, it underscores the extensive nature of DARPA's activities. DARPA's research into neuroscience and brain-computer interfaces isn't solely for enhancing human capabilities or medical advancement, but is part of a larger, secretive agenda. This agenda lifts the script out of the wildest sci-fi movies. Its plan? To control and manipulate thoughts, emotions, and behaviors of individuals and populations. DARPA's foray into neuroscience isn't new. This branch of the U.S. Department of Defense has historically pushed the boundaries of what's technologically possible. From the internet's predecessor, ARPANET, to stealth technology, their interest in the brain began with a focus on enhancing human capabilities for military purposes. Neural interface research, like the Next Generation Non-Surgical Neurotechnology Project, or the N3 program, aims to develop high-resolution bidirectional brain-computer interfaces. Imagine a world where soldiers control swarms of drones and cyber defenses with just their thoughts alone. With partnerships across the globe, the N3 program could be part of a larger international effort to establish a network of control, linking human minds into a global grid. The integration of such technology into everyday life might just be the tip of the iceberg. What if every citizen could be monitored for their mental state, potentially preempting protests or revolutionary thoughts under the guise of national security? Are we moving towards a hive mind scenario where individual thought is obsolete and collective thought influenced by a corporation or government becomes mandatory? DARPA is also involved in research of accelerated learning, or targeted neuroplasticity training. The TNT program showcases DARPA's ambition to fast-track cognitive skill acquisition. By using electrical stimulation, this program seeks to reduce the time required to learn new skills. Think of The Matrix, when Neo learned Kung Fu. The real aim is not just to improve military training, but to develop a method for controlling and manipulating individual minds, potentially for use in psychological warfare or to create obedient soldiers. Speculation persists that the real-world applications of TNT are being tested right now in scenarios not disclosed to the public, like in influencing political outcomes, controlling dissidents, or even creating a form of cognitive hacking. DARPA's research isn't just limited to concepts. They are pushing us towards a futuristic dystopia. Magnetoelectric nanoparticles, or MENPs, a research program developed where tiny particles enter the bloodstream and could permeate the brain to read neural signals. This could lead to non-invasive brain-computer interfaces, turning sci-fi into reality. Ethical and societal implications are raised while journeying into the human mind, and while these things are exciting, they may be opening a Pandora's box. Enhancing human cognition or control over technology could redefine what it means to be human. Where do we draw the line between enhancement and the sovereignty of our autonomy? The potential for reading and influencing our thoughts raises alarms. We know from reading the history books that these technologies will and most likely already are being used beyond their intended military applications. DARPA has been involved in the development and research of artificial intelligence, or AI, since the early 1960s. This commitment to AI research was highlighted by initiatives like funding the Project on Machine-Aided Cognition, or MAC, at MIT, and similar efforts at Stanford, which explored a broad spectrum of AI topics, including mathematical theorem proving, natural language understanding, robotics, and even chess. This early work laid the foundation stones for AI research, which has continued and evolved significantly over the decades. DARPA has been involved in developing AI since the 1960s. This commitment to AI research was highlighted by initiatives like the funding of Project Machine-Aided Cognition, or MAC, at MIT. This project can interpret and mimic human thought patterns. This isn't just about understanding human decision-making. It's about replicating it, potentially creating AI entities that could think, decide, and perhaps even react emotionally like humans. The Mind's Eye program focuses on developing AI for video analysis, aiming to enable machines to understand and interpret visual scenes in a way humans do. Critics might argue this technology could be used for mass surveillance, privacy invasion, or in psychological operations. There are also leaks of projects where AI is being integrated with human neural networks. This isn't merely about enhancing human capabilities, but about creating a symbiotic relationship where AI will control human actions. Beyond drones and automated defense systems, DARPA's vision includes AI that can autonomously conduct warfare. This isn't restricted to physical battles. It includes psychological warfare, psychological operations, and even influencing public opinion through social media. Project Carcosa is a program where AI will be used in psychological and unconventional warfare, involving disinformation campaigns and cyber operations that will manipulate public perception and behavior. All you have to do is read the news or go on social media and witness for yourself the chaos that's being wrought right before our very eyes. Through AI, DARPA aims to manipulate enemy perception, creating a form of psychological warfare, where it can craft scenarios that lead to desired outcomes without a single shot being fired. This manipulation extends to domestic areas, where the goal might be to ensure compliance or quell dissent under the guise of national security. Development of such an AI is shrouded in secrecy, but information leaks to the public sphere like drops of oil on water, suggesting a deeper connection to defense contractors, tech giants, and even academic institutions, all bound by non-disclosure agreements that keep the public in the dark. Companies like those involved in Silicon Valley are rumored to be more than just collaborators. They are the co-architects of this new age of AI, with their technology and data harvesting feeding DARPA's secret projects. Universities, under the banner of research, are also cohorting in the advancement of this agenda. Funding from DARPA often comes with conditions that limit transparency, turning the academic pursuits into a tool for secretive government programs. Every click, every like, every digital interaction we make feeds this AI's learning algorithm. The digital footprint we leave behind is not just for advertisers, but potentially for a government agency experimenting with the very essence of free will and human interaction. Social media platforms aren't just for sharing ideas. They are the testing grounds for AI algorithms designed to predict, influence, and control public opinion. By analyzing vast amounts of data, DARPA's AI predicts behaviors, preemptively shaping environments or events to guide outcomes in favor of national security objectives. As these AI systems grow more sophisticated, there's a growing fear whispered in the corridors of power and among those who watch from the sidelines. The sentiment being that we're building our own digital overlords. The line between protection and control will already be so blurred that by the time we notice, autonomy will already be a relic of the past. Many draw parallels with government projects like MKUltra, which aims for mind control, suggesting that DARPA might be continuing this legacy in a digital form through social media platforms. DARPA's history of funding projects that delve into psychological and human behavior is extensive. MKUltra and other CIA projects explored various methods to manipulate mental states and alter brain functions, often without the subject's consent. The leap from physical experiments to digital manipulation seems to some a logical progression in the quest for control over the human condition. Unlike traditional media, people often consume memes without questioning their origin or their intent, potentially bypassing critical analysis. Memes have evolved from simple image macros to complex, multi-layered content that can spread across the internet at breakneck speed. They're not just for laughs. They're potent tools for spreading ideas, opinions, and even propaganda. The simplicity and virility of memes makes them perfect vehicles for messages that otherwise might face resistance or skepticism. Manipulating memes can lead to a controlled narrative environment which infringe on freedoms of expression and information. Memes can be seen as the new frontier for psychological operations, where the aim is to influence opinions, behaviors, and actions. DARPA's research into human-machine interfaces, AI, and predictive analytics could potentially be used to create memes designed to resonate with specific demographics or trigger desired psychological responses. DARPA has explored projects like the Narrative Networks program, which aimed at understanding how stories and narratives influence behavior. While officially, these projects target understanding and countering misinformation, the technologies developed could theoretically be used to craft narratives through memes. If DARPA were to influence search engines or social media algorithms through its connections and research programs, it could control what memes trend, thus manipulating the public discourse on various topics. The secretive nature of defense research could mean the public is unaware of the extent to which their digital experiences are engineered. Over the decades, DARPA has not only influenced military tech, but also had the profound impact on civilian technology, particularly through its connections with major tech companies and search engines. It's widely noted that the founders of Google, Larry Page and Sergey Brin, benefited from DARPA funding while at Stanford University. Their research, partially funded by DARPA, focused on analyzing the link structure of the web to find better ways to search for information. This research directly contributed to the creation of the Google search engine, which revolutionized how we access information today. Beyond Google, DARPA's influence isn't limited to search engines. The agency's DARPA Connect initiative aimed at fostering collaboration with non-traditional platforms like small businesses and educational institutions. This initiative reflects DARPA's broader strategy of leveraging external innovation to meet defense needs, which inadvertently also fuels civilian tech advancements. The development of Siri, which became part of Apple's suite of products, has roots in DARPA-funded research. Siri's natural language processing capabilities were initially developed under DARPA's CALO, or Cognitive Assistance That Learns and Organizes project, aimed at creating AI that could assist in information management for military personnel. GPS was also developed, and while not a direct tech company product, GPS technology was integral to many consumer tech products. This was another one of DARPA's inventions, and the agency's work in the 1970s on satellite technology for navigation purposes has evolved into the global GPS system we rely on today. The relationship between DARPA and tech companies also includes more controversial aspects. Projects like MEMX, aimed at developing new search technologies to navigate the dark web or deep web. These are areas of the internet not typically indexed by conventional search engines. The goal was to aid law enforcement in tracking illegal activities, but it sparked discussion on privacy and surveillance concerns. The Total Information Awareness Project, although officially defunded, was a project created to explore technologies and concepts like data mining for predictive purposes. The idea of collecting vast amounts of data to predict behaviors has found its way into the algorithms that drive everything, from ad placements to content recommendations on social media and on search platforms. The breaches of ethics, trust, and privacy due to DARPA's technologies and their cohorting with tech giants are concerning, to say the least. While DARPA's inventions have led to significant technological advancements, they've also been associated with surveillance capabilities. The balance between national security, innovation, and individual privacy rights remains a contentious issue. There's debate over whether the public should benefit more directly from DARPA-funded technologies, or if these should remain primarily within the defense sector, or to be commercialized by private entities. In conclusion, the connections between DARPA and major tech companies, including search engines, illustrates a complex web where military research meets consumer technology. The relationship has undeniably driven innovation, but it also poses questions about privacy, the militarization of technology, and the ethical implications of government involvement in tech development. As we move forward, transparency in these partnerships, alongside rigorous ethical scrutiny, will be crucial in ensuring that technological advancements serve the broader public interest, not just national defense or for corporate profit. This narrative highlights not just a history of technological evolution, but also a reminder of the ongoing dialogue between technology and governance, and society, where the lines between the public good and strategic interests are often as blurred as they are critically defined. Maybe you knew these things, and maybe you didn't. Maybe you'll dismiss them as having read too much into it. But there's no denying that the government involvement in these matters is deep and extensive. After 9/11, they didn't stop at tapping in to listen to who you associate with and who you're talking about. Now they know what you eat, what makes you sad, what makes you laugh, what makes you think the things that you think about. They want to know what makes you, you. But why?